Well, hello everybody and welcome to Brands Hatch for the first ever championship round of the EuroNASCAR Esports Series in conjunction with iRacing, with support from i-cin.com and as part of the Sim Racing League. We thank them for their support, and of course TJ, who will be supplying our championship winner with a titanium ring at the end of the championship season. Well, we're here at Brands Hatch, this iconic circuit which first opened in 1950 for car racing, continued to hold Grand Prix up until the mid-80s, but has been the home of the UK round of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series since 2011. We can't go racing for real at the moment, but what we can do is kick off this fantastic esports series here at Brands Hatch. Championship points up for grabs as we work our way around the world in what is going to be an exciting event here today. 73 cars entered. We've already had pre-qualifying and qualifying to whittle that down to 60. We'll see 3 heats go out with the top cars in each one of those heats going through to the main event. There will also be a last chance qualifying race to look forward to as well. So there's plenty coming up. But before we start to look at what's coming up here this evening in our opening round of the NASCAR Euro Series Esports Series, let's look back at some of the highlights from when we came here racing for real in 2019. So that was what happened at Brands Hatch on the Sunday of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series visit here in 2019. It was a win in the Elite 1 division for Alan Day, claiming his 3rd victory at the UK circuit. And it was a 2nd win at Brands Hatch for Lasse Sorensen, who would ultimately go on to secure what in 2019 was called the Elite 2 category. That for this year is renamed as EuroNASCAR 2, and Elite 1, if you're familiar with that, it's for 2020 renamed EuroNASCAR Pro. So it's Mark Werrell that's leading the commentary here this weekend. Qualifying still going out on circuit to whittle those cars down and work out who's going to be racing in what heats. We've got some drivers that hopefully are going to join me in the commentary box throughout the course of this evening, but 2 guests that are going to be with me for the whole of the evening as well. Andre Weigold is here, a German esports racer and commentator, and I know, Andre, you are a driver who absolutely loves Brands Hatch.
Yeah, absolutely. I was at Brands Hatch now for 2 times in real life and watched the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series races there. And I also did a few laps on the simulator on iRacing in Brands Hatch with those NASCAR Cup Series cars. And I can tell you, it's a very challenging track with those powerful cars.
And proposed to your fiancée at Brands Hatch as well, if memory serves me correctly.
Yes, right.
So, an entirely different circuit. We had the prologue meeting last weekend on Daytona, on the Roval at Daytona, the infield sports car circuit. Long circuit, wide circuit. Here at Brands Hatch, short circuit. It's only 1.92, 1.93 kilometers long, 1.2 miles, that is. tight, twisty, undulating, difficult to overtake, Andre.
Yes, right. And the most challenging part is to find the right gears, to adjust the throttle. You have to be very sensitive because the cars are so powerful. And we have a lot of bumps, especially on the start-finish bend. I don't call it straight. You have to be very careful there. When you go up into the third gear, you have this bump, and it can happen that your back will get very, very loose. So you have to be very careful.
Also joining me in the virtual commentary box is the man behind the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, and the man, of course, leading from the front in terms of the EuroNASCAR Esports Series as it is. Jerome Galpin joins me again. Jerome, it's great to be back, albeit virtually, at Brands Hatch.
Good evening, Mark. Good evening, EuroNASCAR fans. Yeah, absolutely. Brands Hatch has always been a highlight of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series season. You know, short track, high action, pure racing. So I'm sure the virtual one will be also a very fun and very entertaining event.
I think it's one of those highlight events for me in my motor racing calendar, which is always very, very busy. But no matter where we go, when we get racing for real, the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series is all about, you mentioned pure racing, but also that fun and that family atmosphere and everything that when we get racing for real goes on off circuit as well as all of the pure racing on circuit.
You are perfectly right, Mark. It's all about the concept of EuroNASCAR. It's not only high action on track and cars on tracks. It's all about building a great event for the fans, for the families, with lots of opportunities to be close to the cars, to the drivers. It's really sharing our passion together in a nice atmosphere and US atmosphere weekend. And we are lucky enough to have great track partners such as Brands Hatch, Circuit Zolder, Valencia, and all the others that fully embrace the concept to really offer the fan a proper NASCAR and pure racing experience when they come to the track.
And we had a great first meeting at Daytona last weekend. Qualifying is literally about to finish, not far away for here. Qualifying last weekend, Alan Day qualified on pole position from Andre Castro. Longer circuit, 23 thousandths of a second separates them. Here, Andre, this weekend, shorter circuit Brands Hatch. Normal services resumed. Alan Day is provisionally on pole position. Will go to pole for heat number 1. Andre Castro is second quickest by 3 1,000ths of a second. So he'd take pole position for heat number 2. And another driver that went beautifully well last weekend is currently in third position, and that is Jeffrey Rufen, who is running car number 307 and is the crew chief for Hendricks Motorsport. So a lot of the names that we saw at Daytona last weekend, or last week, Andre, are right at the sharp end here at Brands Hatch.
Yes, they are great sim racers. They all have a lot of experience on iRacing, so I expected them to be at front here at Brands Hatch too. We have a short track. We have a lot of entries, so in the main race with 36 cars on the grid, we will see a lot of overtaking, a lot of lapping, I guess, and it will be a lot of managing the traffic, get in the right spots, and find the right opportunity to overtake. But we saw it on the real race last year that Lasse Sørensen came from the back to the first place. So every driver who's telling me you can't overtake at Brands Hatch on the Indy Circuit, he's wrong.
Is wrong, yeah. Okay, we've got qualifying out of the way. You've just seen the qualifying go through. The way it works is that 60 drivers get through to this point. Alan Day sits on pole position for this heat. Guillaume de Flandre, who wasn't with us last weekend at Daytona, sits alongside. He has been a winner here previously at Brands Hatch. Andreas Jochumsen is there on row number 2 with Giorgio Maggi, and Alex Fontana and Marin Kremers sit there on row number 3. Leonardo Colavita, new driver for us that's coming in, sitting at the wheel of car number 208, is on that 4th row of the grid. And alongside him is where we see Marcel Lenertz. Then it's Davide Darella and another new driver that's here for us on row number 5. That's car number 310, which is Aurélien Dillier, who is hoping to join the Club Challenge in 2020. Further down towards the tail end of the grid, watch out for towards the tail end former Formula 1 racers, and of course world champion in the case of Jacques Villeneuve and Gianni Morbidelli, who all sit down there. And also I saw Sven van Laara was down towards the tail end of the field. He could be one to watch out for. There are no safety cars in this heat. It is going to be done via localized caution, and as the pace truck now is pulling off around the circuit, we are going to get the rolling lap underway before we get this first sort of 10-minute or 12-minute race underway. So the car's just working their way around, trying to build temperature in the tyres. Great to see Guillaume de Flandre joining the Championship this weekend, the opening round, remember, of the EuroNASCAR Esports Series. A driver that has been successful here previously at Brands Hatch. We haven't seen a lot of him though recently. He did 4 races in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series in 2019, Hockenheim and Zolder. He was 3rd in the Elite 2 Championship, of course, rebadged nowadays as NASCAR 2 a couple of seasons ago. And has previously claimed wins here at Brands Hatch. He also won at Hockenheim as well, if memory serves me correctly. So he's a driver that has claimed wins. Alan Day, the most successful driver at Brands Hatch, you could argue, who has claimed a raft of wins, sitting on pole position. Alan has had 3 wins here at Brands Hatch for real in the past. What can he do in heat number 1? He was a heat winner. The lights go out, the green flag flies, and it's a very good start by the look of things. It's been an untidy start, I would say. It's supposed to be side by side, but they've rocket their way up towards Paddock Hill Bend for the first time, down through the dip, fantastic corner, Paddock Hill Bend. Alan Day leads the race. Guillaume de Flandre there in second place. There's contact and there's spins further down through the order. That, unfortunately, is Henry Tuomala, who has had a rotation, Scandinavian. So he's going to have to try and thread his way up through the field. Andreas Jacobsen sitting there in 3rd position, another Scandinavian, the Swede in 3rd place for DF1 Racing, who is hoping that he might be able to do good things throughout the course of this first heat here. Fabrizio Armata joins the entry list as well for this weekend. I don't think we saw him out last weekend at Daytona, but he is in this heat. And also Gianni Morbidelli, of course, driver who's been hugely successful in V8 cars in the past with the Superstar Series, where he was a multiple champion in that, is also in this heat as well. But up front, Alan Day leads just from Guillaume de Flandre as they turn their way out of Paddock Hill Bend. Having climbed up Hellwood Hill, they descend back down into the very difficult Graham Hill Bend. Very difficult to stop the car because it breaks downhill. You also need to get the car turned in to the apex as well. Quick replay of the start. Henry Tuomala, what happened? There was a spin directly ahead of him, and that was a car that bounced straight out back in front of him. That was Aurélien Dillier, who had the problem under braking heading up towards Paddock Hill Bend, and poor old Henry Tuomala was minding his own business and got tangled up. So over the start finish line, lead pair breaking away. Giorgio Maggi now, by the look of things, is through into 3rd position, and Andreas Jacobsen sits there in 4th place. Andre Weigel, who joins me in the commentary box, I mentioned that Gianni Morbidelli was off the back of the grid and might be one to watch out for. We've only done a couple of laps, Andre. He's up to 11th. And Villeneuve, who also started at the tail end, Jack Villeneuve, is up to 12th. Good start from both of them.
Yes, of course. Both former Formula 1 drivers, one world champion. They know how to race. Of course, they have to adopt a little bit to the virtual world because there's some differences in comparison with racing in the real world. But they are doing a good job, a clean start. They did not get involved into any chaos, and that's the key. You have to get a clean race. You have to make consistent laps. So they did a good job.
They did a good job, and I think I just saw Alex Fontana potentially there having an issue coming out of Clark Curve and onto the Brabham straight, the start-finish straight, and there he goes, going very slowly. Yeah, through goes Gianni Morbidelli, and I think that's Alex Fontana's Ford that's had the problem, has now got damage to the front end, and that is going to drop him a long way down through the order as a result of those problems. The laps soon get ticked off here as well at Brands Hatch, lap number 4 already. There is Leonardo Colavita, who is Italian by birth but has lived a fair chunk of his life in America, and there is a problem. Too much throttle coming out of the corner, and that was a rotation for Gianni Morbidelli. Unfortunately, all of that hard work he'd done has all just come undone. It's so difficult to drive these cars around here at Brands Hatch, and well, as ever, great racing it makes around this very short circuit. Only 5 real corners to it in reality, because McLaren Clearways and Clark Curve all blend into the same right-hander in reality. So it's a simple circuit in terms of it's short with 5 corners, but technically it is so difficult to hook the lap together. But that's exactly what Alan Day, Guillaume de Flandre and Giorgio Maggi are doing now, because the top 3 are getting ever closer to each other, and they're also bringing together Andreas Jacobsen, who's also hugely keen to try and join in on the mix as well. Over the start finish line they'll go. De Flandre trying to hunt down the race leader Alan Day, who just missed out on the win last weekend in what was a great fight between Alan Day and Andre Castro at Daytona, but it was the bump and run from Castro, quite a hard and heavy bump and run, but meant that Alan Day missed out on the victory in the end. Was a heat winner though, but he's under pressure from De Flandre, down in towards the braking area for Graham Hill-Bend. Once more, fantastic battle, Andre, between these two, and all of the time just edging up closer is Giorgio Maggi there in third place, isn't he?
Yes, right. Very nice battle up front with Day and De Flandre, and Maggi is closing in. Of course, he has a little bit more clean air. He's able to catch up because they both are fighting for the first place. And also Andreas Jochemsen is closing in, so I think we have a four-way battle at the end of this race for the win. But I think Alan Day and Guillaume De Flandre, they are the fastest guys in this heat.
The key thing is, as we saw last weekend, it's get out of the heats cleanly, isn't it? Get out of the heats. If you are one of those drivers then that has done well in the heats, i.e. the top 10, then you transfer automatically to the main race, and that's what they'll be wanting to do, making sure they get through to the main event, which carries the championship points. So down the Cooper Straight, here's Leonardo Colavita, looking to try and apply the pressures to Moraine Kremers, who sits directly ahead of him. Number 105 is Moraine Kremers, racing for the new team that's joining EuroNASCAR this year, the Feed Vict Racing team, which is jointly owned by Jacques Villeneuve and Patrick Lemery, who are also on the entry list here. Quick replay of it. So we've got a small issue with the production there. We will get back to the racing very, very shortly whilst the stream manages to sort itself out. Right there, I think, was what we were looking for, which was a rotation into the barriers for Fred Gabillon, who's been a multiple race winner here at Brands Hatch in the past. And I did see his car was in the pits very early on, and damage to the front end of Fred Gabillon's car there. We just briefly picked up on the replay. Now, Alan Day and Guillaume De Flandre all of a sudden have started to pull away from what is now the third place car of Andreas Jochemsen. Didn't quite see what happened there, but Giorgio Maggi has now lost out on third place, and Andreas Jochemsen is ahead of him. And that means that now the lead pair have no longer got cars bearing down on them anymore. The Israeli, though, still leads the race, the double former champion in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. Alan Day in the Monster Energy Chevy, under pressure from the RDV competition car of Guillaume De Flandre that sits directly behind. Quarter of a second separate the pair as they head along the Cooper Straight, but time is still ticking. 6 3/4 minutes of this 10-minute race gone. 9 laps already chalked into the book, and well, as expected, Jerome Galpin, who joins me in the virtual commentary box, the battles all the way down through the order. You can see the gaps between the cars, pure racing as ever.
Absolutely, we are clearly in a Brands Hatch atmosphere with close racing, a lot of cars. Obviously, we have a little problem on the server to get the proper decals and designs of the car, but I'm sure they will fix it, and we will get it back soon.
Right. It may well be that there's an issue with your loading of those decals. I've got all of them beautifully displayed on mine. There was a slight mistake there, or contact between the leading pair. Alan Day was a little bit defensive coming out at Paddock Hill Bend because he thought that Guillaume De Flandre got the overlap. He closed that off, but then I think got a little bit out of shape on the run towards Druids. The order still remains the same, but it's now allowed Andreas Jochemsen to close in again a little bit more on the pair of them. He's still a second and a bit adrift, so still needs to keep pushing on, but just up the road now from Alan Day, as we look at his right rear wheel of the Monster Energy Chevy, we've got traffic just coming, and this could be the catalyst for a bit of change at the front. Again, Alan Day just make sure he covers off any potential move from Guillaume De Flandre. He's not going to let the car through. It's Alan Day's teammate Ariana Casserly that is about to be lapped by the race leader. Is she going to move neatly out of the way? Yes, she does. She sees Alan Day coming, moves neatly out of the way. Day goes through, De Flandre goes through, Andreas Jochemsen goes through, and the back markers are just going to keep coming thick and fast now, one would have thought. Here's the fourth place car, Giorgio Maggi. So he was running in third in the Hendricks Motorsport car earlier on, but has now dropped to fourth place because that car there, the white car with its light green flashes in the hands of the Swede for DF1 Racing, Andreas Jochemsen, was able to steal that place away, almost side by side on the run towards Paddock Hill Bend. Guillaume De Flandre is desperate to try and unlock the door to the lead. Alan Day runs a little bit wide coming off the corner, but this time doesn't have to try and close the door on the run up towards Druids. So they still remain in the same order. There's more traffic up the road to deal with. That will be, I think, Sven van Lara that is the next of the cars that's going to be placed a lap down. But the leading three now are all within 3/4 of a second of each other. There is less than 60 seconds remaining on the clock. which means as they go over the start-finish line this time through, they're probably going to be starting their penultimate lap. We go on board with Guillaume de Flandre in second place, hunting down the leader whilst watching his mirrors at the same time. Fantastic roar from the V8 engines. The white flag goes out on this occasion, so they are now onto their final lap of the race. Remember, top 10 automatically go through to the main event, the championship race, the one that carries the championship points later on. Thereafter, everybody else will drop into the last champs qualifying race, which will take place immediately prior to that main event. Out of Graham Hill bent down the Cooper straight. This is Jack Villeneuve now that needs to stay out of the way here. He wants to try and stay on the lead lap, but he's got to be conscious of the three-car battle for the lead of the race. Jack Villeneuve does stay neatly out of the way, allows Alan Day to squeeze his way through. Andreas Jacobsen isn't going to get a run on Guillaume de Flandre on the charge to the line, so it looks as though they are going to remain in the same order as they take the checkered flag. It's a heat win again this weekend for Alan Day on his return to NASCAR competition, albeit of course esports this weekend for Guillaume de Flandre. He will finish in second position, and Andreas Jacobsen will complete the top three. Giorgio Maggi comes through in third place, Maren Kremers in fourth place, Kremers in fifth place, Colavita, Lenertz, Ameta, Fontana and Sebastian Bleekemolen will complete the top 10. Great recovery drive, I've got to say, also in 11th place for Henry Tuamala, who, remember, was on the grass and backwards following a spin, no fault of his own, on the first lap of the race at turn number 1, but to fight his way back to 11th position was very well done indeed from Henry Tuamala. So remember, top 10 automatically go through to the main event. The rest will have to try and sort of roll their sleeves up and fight it out in the last chance qualifying race that will be coming up a little bit later on. So heat 1 done and dusted. Confirmation then of the results. It's a win for the PK Car Sport Chevy of Alan Day by just under half a second in the end, from Guillaume de Flandre in second place and Andreas Jacobsen in third. Giorgio Maggi, Maren Kremers and Leonardo Colavita complete the top 6 ahead of Marcel Lenertz, Fabrizio Amata, Alex Fontana and Sebastian Bleekemolen missing out, but having to therefore have one more chance in the last chance qualifying. We'll see Henry Tuamada, Davide De Lara missed out, as did Thomas Ferrando, Jacques Villeneuve, Gianni Morbidelli, Sven Lanlara, Ariana Castelli, and towards the tail end of the field, car number 310 is Aurélien Dillier. So that is the order of those. So we're about to now get the second heat underway, and hopefully be able to guide you. To sort it out in the last chance qualifying race that precedes the main championship event later on this evening. So safety car pulls in. Andre Castro, Loris Hazemans on the front row of the grid. Red lights will be coming on very, very shortly, and we'll get the race underway. It looks as though it's a good start from Andre Castro as we look towards American driver Eric Filgueres on board his Michoud Motors Chevy, turning his way through Paddock Hill Bend. Somebody very, very wide. I think that might have been Justin Coots that went through the gravel at Paddock Hill Bend, but it's Andre Castro that leads the race from Loris Hazemans in second place, and that's Brian Crowell's up into third position at the moment. We saw Brian Crowell's going beautifully well. He's one of the team members for Brax and has been involved in the standard car setup that all of the drivers run here. No tweaking of the setup. He was one of the drivers that was involved in helping establish a baseline setup that's then been sort of modified throughout some of the testing sessions this week to get it exactly where it is now. But everybody is in exactly the same car, same gear ratio, same setup, so it's very much down to driver ability in the NASCAR EuroNASCAR Esports Series for 2020. So Castro leads from Hazemans. Brian Crowell's there in third place. Fourth place at the moment is car number 150 that sits there in fourth place, which is Tobias Dauenhauer, the German driver who's come through the NASCAR recruitment program. Sim racing in ADAC GT4 and a bit of Blancpain and in the Spa 24 Hour, the 22-year-old. Here's Lasse Sorensen. He is certainly going to be one to watch out for. 2 wins back-to-back last year at Brands Hatch. As Andre Weigold suggested, one of them from the very back of the grid, and the hugely likeable Dane is carving his way through the field in 11th position at the moment. There's car number 318, Roy Hendricks, who is the team manager of Hendricks Motorsports. If you didn't watch the feed last weekend, the numbers, we just have a quick look at the replay. Lasse Sorensen diving on the grass. Right, making contact with Eric Filgueras and spinning Eric Filgueras round. So that was not ideal as far as Sorensen was concerned, and certainly not ideal as far as Eric Filgueras was concerned, facing the wrong way. Back to the numbers. Generally, the rule is numbers 0 to 99 are for drivers that are going to be racing in NASCAR Pro in 2020 when we get the full season underway. Cars number 100 to 199 are for drivers in NASCAR 2. Cars 200 to 299 are for those drivers in the NASCAR Club Challenge. That's the regularity test, formerly known as Elite Club, and 300 and above are for team members and guests. As we drive on board with British driver Alex Sedgwick running in 6th position.
Alan, you copy me? It's Jan. Alan, you copy me?
So I think Jan is still in commentary. So Andre Castro's still out front and leading. Loris Hazeman's some 2.1 seconds down in second place. Justin Kuntz looking up the inside of Alex Sedgwick. This is going to get tight. The Chevy almost bounced off the side of the Ford, but Sedgwick gets his foot down and just hangs on to the place. Hugely keen not to let the German through. And for the moment, Justin Kuntz for DF1 Racing, his Chevy still sits there in 6th position. Good little battle this is brewing up to be. Dauenhauer, Sedgwick, Justin Kuntz, and then Vittorio Garelli not that far away. So over the start-finish line now we'll go. Andre Castro is just managing to continually open up the lead all of the time. And I think joining me in the commentary box now briefly is Heat 1 winner Alan Day. Alan, congratulations, a Heat win.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it was stressful.
You were pushed very hard though. It certainly looked as though Guillaume Flandre was trying to squeeze his way through on a couple of occasions.
Yeah, I think he manages tires a bit better than me. After like 5 laps I started struggling. Especially with back markers that gave me a bit of a hard time. But I won. I guess I'm on pole for the main race.
That's what it's about. You missed out on the victory last weekend with the bump and run. You wouldn't have liked, but there were no championship points up for grabs this week, and it gets more serious, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I hope no one will bump and run me again. I'm probably going to go exactly the same next corner.
Well, you did warn Andre Castro that it would that you'd return the favour.
Yeah, you need to look out for himself. I'm coming.
Well, he's leading this one at the moment by 1.5 seconds. Are you hanging around, Alan, for the rest of this race, and we can sort of join you on commentary, or are you got to disappear again?
I might disappear to.
Okay, well,
or something. I don't know. I'm so free now when it's on the virtual life. You can do whatever you want. I'm actually basically with underwear.
Okay, well, we'll let you go if you want to. Thanks for chatting to us, Alan Day. Hopefully we'll be chatting to you later on in Victory Lane. You never know.
Yeah, I hope it will be clean and good. Yeah.
Good luck for the rest of the evening, man. There we go. Alan Day, our Heat 1 winner, just briefly popping into our virtual commentary box. Andre Castro still out front and leading the race. We look at Tobias Dauenhauer, who sits there in 4th position, and Tobias going very, very well indeed. We seem to have so many quick newcomers coming into this series over the years, and Tobias Dauenhauer is certainly one of those. Quick look at what happened to Roy Hendricks. Typical mistake, I'm afraid, at Surtees corner. The back end cried enough. You have to take to the grass and straighten it up through McLaren and clearways and then rejoin the circuit. Tail end just crying enough. Yes, so many quick drivers coming into this series, and Jerome Galpin, who remains in live commentary with me. That's the lifeblood to any series, isn't it? Continually being able to, as we would say in the UK, fill up the hopper with new talent and keep it fresh all the time. New people coming into the series, and you do exactly that.
Absolutely. We have drivers coming from all over the world, and we have young kids coming, and it's really great to see them developing year after year. Some of them enter the series as a club challenge, which is a regularity challenge we run before the event. Then they made their way through the 2 division, EuroNASCAR 2 division, and then the Pro division. And of course, those young guys, they are pretty good also on virtual racing. So it's really cool right now to have a global package for all these kids to express their talent.
And it's the age range as well. If memory serves me correctly, in what is now called EuroNASCAR 2, we had everything from a 16-year-old to, as it was towards the tail end of the year, a 70-year-old in that one. So a huge variance in terms of demographic.
So big gap. Well, whatever your age is, you can run the EuroNASCAR series. As we are also an FIA international series, we can't accept driver below 16. That's the rule in Europe and in the world. So as soon as they turn 16, they can join us, and we can see that some of those guys coming from go-kart, they jump clearly in our cars, and they are really already fast, and they have the real talent to express in their cars. And we can see we call our car big go-karts, but that's exactly what it is. You can clearly jump from a go-kart and race with our cars and be competitive. We have seen that with multiple guys since we started this program.
Thanks, Jerome. Yeah, and that's exactly what one of the drivers in Heat 1 will be doing in reality. Leonardo Colavita, who is only 15 years of age, so he can only do the club challenge, which is a regularity test, can't race the car as such, so he's only 15. I'm sure we will see him come into NASCAR 2 and NASCAR Pro as well. We saw a great little battle still going on between Alex Sedgwick and Tobias Bauernhauer. Now we are picking up on Justin Kuntz, who is in 8th place and applying lots and lots of pressure to Italian driver Vittorio Garelli. Vittorio was a rookie in the championship last year. So many quick rookies came into EuroNASCAR 2 last year, and he has at the moment got his sleeves rolled up trying to hang on to 7th place. Vladimir Tsiotsis sitting there at the wheel of car number 101, the Alex Cathy Motorsport Ford, running in 10th position. So he's the last of the cars at the moment that is in a position to automatically qualify for the main race. He's got another driver that's new to the series this weekend just ahead of him as well, heading over the start-finish line, and that is car number 246, which is Gordon Barnes, who's one of the engineers for Marco Steep Motorsport. He does race late models as well. Former Formula V racer as well, he was in the UK very, very briefly. English born, lives in Germany nowadays, and he is just ahead of this car here, Vladimir Tsiotsis, who is looking in his mirrors because he's got at the moment now behind him Ruben Garcia Jr, 3 times Pinty Series champion from the NASCAR Series in Mexico, who was having a much better run of it at Daytona last weekend. We go back to Andre Castro. You can see the gap now between himself and Morris Hasemans. Castro seems to have everything very much under control as he heads onto what will be his final lap of the race. 10 minutes for the heats, top 10 going through to the main race. Then we will have our last chance qualifying race once we've got through the 3 heats. So the 3 heats will allow us to have 30 drivers sorted for the main race. The last chance qualifying race will have 30 cars potentially on the grid and allow just the top 6 to transfer to the main event. And it's the main event that carries the championship points, 40 for a win, 35 for second, diminishing by 1 point thereon. But for the person that gains the most places in the main event from starting position to finishing position, an extra 4 championship points. Castro claims a heat win over the start finish line for Andre Castro. It's a win in heat number 2 for him. So it's very much playing out as it did, I suppose, at Daytona last weekend for the prologue race, where Alan Day won heat number 1, Andre Castro won heat number 2. That's exactly what's happened here at Brands Hatch. Hasemans comes through and finishes in 2nd place, and Brian Krulls again with another good run at the wheel of his Brax racing machine. His Ford comes through and finishes in 3rd position. Any changes towards the tail end of the top 10 on that final lap? No, largely as they were, which means that Ruben Garcia Jr. In car number 888 in 10th position will just scrape his way through automatically into the main event. And for the car in 11th place and backwards, Gustav Berggren, who is on board the Memphis racing car for this weekend. We didn't see him out last weekends. I'm so used to saying weekends. Last week we didn't see him out. He will have to come through and see what he can do in heat number 2. So here's confirmation of the heat 2 results. It's a win for Andre Castro from Loris Hazelmans in second place and Grant Crawls in third place. Alex Sedgwick beautifully well in fourth place. Tobias Bauernhauer in fifth. Vittorio Garelli completes the top 6. Justin Coots, Gordon Barnes and Vladimir Tsioitsis are there in 8th and 9th place, and Ruben Garcia picks up the final place that automatically sees him through to the main event later on. Gustav Berggren will have to try again, as will Eric Felgueras, who got tangled up in that incident with Lassie Sorensen. So both of them have got work to do in the last chance qualifier. So on to our third heat, and I think we are gearing up to have Andre Castro jump into the virtual commentary box and have a chat with us. We'll get the race underway and then we'll have a quick chat with Andre. Great thing about e-racing, virtual racing, we can do this, we can bring them in and have a chat to them. It is Jeffrey Rufen who is sitting there for Hendricks Motorsport on pole position. Ben Kriener, the 17-year-old as he is now, he's the youngest ever driver that we've had in EuroNASCAR, just 16 years of age when he joined the championship last year, sitting alongside Ulysse Delso, who announced that he'd be racing in both NASCAR Pro and NASCAR 2 when we get the season underway properly, sitting there on row number 2 alongside Bavo Follon, who is alongside him, Alessandro Bugatti and Simon Pilate on row number 3. So we'll get the race underway. The car's just heading around through clearways on towards Clark Curve and then the Brabham Straight. The lights go on, the lights then go out. The start's not quite as side-by-side this weekend as they were last weekend, but Jeffrey Rufen leads the pack of cars up towards Paddock Hill Bend for the first time. In 5th place is Ulysse Delso, who has a spin at the wheel of his RDV competition Chevy coming out of turn number 1, and for the former Elite 2 champion, that's going to drop him to the very, very tail end of the field. Jeffrey Rufen leads Ben Kriener for Mishu Motors, sitting there in 2nd position. Say Ben joined the championship last year, did the full season, but has got huge amounts of esports racing. And the Lux Sim supported Chevy sitting there in 2nd position at the moment. Alain Mousqueron, who was the champion in EuroNASCAR Club Challenge last year, and he's hoping to defend that title and do some EuroNASCAR 2 racing this year, sitting there in 6th place. We saw him throughout the whole of the Daytona Prologue event have a very good evening indeed. Hopping over the curbs there at Paddock Hill Bend was car number 108, that's Alessandro Bregatti. As we go on board with Bregatti, sitting there in 4th place, looking back at Simon Palat. Alain Mousqueron just in the background, and then Lorenzo Marcucci running in 7th place. So Bavo Fallon, 3rd position at the moment. It runs a little bit wide, heading through McLaren and clearways, drops the car into the gravel trap, and that's going to drop him potentially outside of the top 10 by the time he rejoins the circuit. Yeah, it looks as though he is going to be down in something like 12th, maybe even 13th position. Advait Gioda got through, and I think, yeah, Bavo Fallon will run in 12th position. So that cost him dear, that small mistake, and that's the difficult thing at Brands Hatch. It is so easy to snatch a break and have a problem. We have not got Andre Castro coming through, so I'll hand over to Andre Weigold, who is still sitting here in the live commentary box. Again, Brands Hatch, we knew there was going to be incidents and accidents at Brands Hatch. It's so difficult, and all of these drivers are so competitive, close to each other.
Yes, right. Brands Hatch is a very challenging track. We see that a lot of drivers have their problems getting the power of the car under control on those bumpy conditions, in those very challenging bends and turns on this track. We have a lot of braking zones that are not easy to handle. We have a lot of acceleration zones that are very hard to handle. So we see drivers losing the control of the cars, but we see that also the good drivers have consistent lap times. They are very fast in the front, so driving the car safely is the best thing you can do on this track, and to get it to the finish line. I talked to Gianluca before the race, and we both were agreed. Go on 80% on Brands Hatch and bring home the car in a safe way, and you will have a good result.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. Let's just have a quick look at what happened here to Gianmarco Ercoli, and a car spun directly ahead of him, and it was the number 32 car that was out of shape. That was Romain Iniesta, and that was directly in front of the former Elite 2 champion Gianmarco Ercoli, just managing to avoid making contact with it. We go back towards 4th place at the moment. Car number 106, Simon Pellat, was the semi-finalist in the Feed Vic Racing's 2019 selection process. Only 18 years of age, the young Belgian, and for the moment he's running beautifully well in 4th position. There is Alexander Graf. He's the meat in the sandwich at the moment. He's got number 31 Advite Yoda ahead of him, the multiple V8 champion from Sweden. He's got right behind him, that will be 142 that's directly behind him, and that is going to be Francesco Garisto, who, another driver that's come through the recruitment programme. He used to race in Lotus Cup Italy over the course of the last few years. So that's a great fight, and that is for the last couple of places that will see them automatically through to the main event. Well, I didn't think we'd get Andre Castro, but he has now jumped into live commentary with us. Andre, well done, congratulations. All going to plan for you this evening, a heat win here, as you did at Daytona last weekend.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. This is a really fun track, and it's so different to Daytona, but it's good to be running up front on both kinds of tracks. On sort of like a super speedway, and then this is, I compare it to a short track because it's so tight, and there's just no room to do anything. So it's insane. It's a great show for the fans because everybody gets so hyper aggressive trying to pass. So yeah, it should be a really fun race coming up.
Is it just a case of surviving the heats, getting through in a reasonable position that sees you towards the sharp end for the main event?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you're always just trying to do the best you can, but it just depends where you are in the field, I guess. For me, starting on the front row, it's going to be important to get a good start. And from there, I think it's going to be quite a long race. I think 30 or 40 laps. So just have to keep the tires underneath you, and it's just like real life, really. It's the same tactics, and yeah, hopefully it'll be a good race.
I know EuroNASCAR have been on social media this week showing drivers what their rig setups are, and some of the rig setups look absolutely astonishing. I have in my mind the way that drivers' rig setups look with their steering wheel and the screens. Yours was not what I expected, Andre. A laptop and a steering wheel bolted to a normal desk. It's basic, yours, but it works, doesn't it?
It's true. Yeah, it's not a laptop. I got a pretty powerful PC. So I actually got it like a month ago. It's been working really well. But yeah, as far as the wheel and like the seat goes, I just have a dining room chair and just bolt it onto the desk. But I mean, I've been doing it this way for like, I don't know, almost a decade now. And I think in some of the GT cars and the open wheel cars, it makes my life a little harder because it's harder to feel what the car is doing, I guess. But with these cars, with the stock cars, I feel really comfortable with the setup. And yeah, I'm happy with it. So it's nice to show off that on social media. It's, still fast, that setup.
And I'm going to pose one question to you. Should, for instance, you be leading the race on the final lap and Alan Day is right behind you, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Yeah, I'm going to expect, what I'm going to do? I'm just going to park the brake, just going to completely just slam on the brakes and not let him move me out of the way. No, but I don't know what he's going to do, but every situation is different, so we'll have to wait and see and play it by ear. I'm sure it's going to be a great race, and can't wait to fight it out with Alon and all the other guys.
Well done on the win, bump and run at Daytona that got you in. Good luck for the rest of the evening, mate.
Yeah, thanks, Mark.
There we go, Andre Castro, the winner of heat number 2, back to heat number 3, and we've seen again a few cars disappearing onto the grass and a few problems. It's all still going to plan though for Alain Mousqueron, who at the wheel of his deck sweat DF1 Racing Chevy is still running in 8th position at the moment. Max Lanza is the car that's ahead of him, the Italian, for Cal Racing, and he's got a bit of a gap at this stage. He's not really coming under pressure from Mousqueron at 6 behind. Nice and neat and tidy out of Druids. Up towards the end of the start-finish line comes the most successful man in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, and the Villarino, running down in 15th position for him at the moment. He's been a 5 times winner in real life here at Brands Hatch in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, but in terms of the EuroNASCAR Esports Series in conjunction with iRacing, supported by ICIN.com and SimRacingLeague.it, we are seeing him running down in 15th position at the moment, so work to be done by the look of that. So he's got car number 25 ahead of him, which is a car I wasn't expecting to be seeing by the look of things. So that is a driver that is not on my entry list, unfortunately, so we'll have to pick up on that, I think, at some point. But either way, Villarino has still got a bit of work to do, and in fact he's just lost a place to Romain Iniesta as well. Our race leader, though, which is Jeffrey Rufen, safely on his way, 4.2 seconds between himself and that car there. Ben Kriener, who sits in second position. So up towards Paddock Hill Bend has already gone, the race leader. Here comes Ben Kriener. There's Alessandro Brigatti with Simon Palat not that far behind the orange and light green car. So Brigatti running safely in third place. But as we heard from both Alan Day and Andre Castro, it's all largely about making sure you get through the heats. And Andre Weigold, who is still in live commentary with me. Andre, it's a bit like last week, isn't it? We know the drivers that are likely to be at the sharp end. As they say, the cream rises to the top, and you know, if you're a good driver generally or an experienced esports racer, then we're seeing those names coming through again, aren't we?
Yes, right. We have a lot of great sim racers, and we see them at front again, like in Daytona. But I'm really looking forward to the final race, because all of those great sim racers will be at front in the main race, packed together, like Alan Day, like Andre Castro, Loris Hiesemanns, Tobias Dauenhauer, Giorgio Maggi, Jeffrey Rufen, if he's finishing the race right now. We will all have those guys, the fast guys, at the front in the final race. And I bet the other guys who are not at the pace right now will train very hard, will practice a lot to get this pace, because I saw a lot of progression in the grid. I watched the practice sessions, and people starting from zero are already on pace to be in the midfield. So I think they will progress during the season, and we have more drivers up front than we have now.
Jeffrey Rufen's about to take the checkered flag, and he claims a win in heat number 3, which was exactly what he did last weekend at Daytona. So the 3 heat winners here at Brands Hatch are the same 3 heat winners, and in the same order as well. Alan Day in heat number 1, Andre Castro in heat number 2, and Jeffrey Rufen in heat number 3. Ben Kriener comes through and finishes in second position. Alessandro Brigatti just got over the line ahead of Simon Palat, who finished in 4th place in the end. And Lorenzo Marcucci, it was a good run from Lorenzo. I don't think we saw him out at Brands Hatch last weekend, Lorenzo Marcucci, but he is going to finish in 5th position in the end. Alexander Graf is just going to miss out. He will finish in 11th place, so that will put him towards the sharp end for the last chance qualifying race later on, because the last spot in that qualifying race was eventually grabbed by Ulysse Delso, who had a spin, if you recall, coming out of Paddock Hill Bend on the very first lap. And the former Elite 2 champion had to fight his way back through the order to grab the final automatic qualification spot. Jeffrey Rufen claims the win from Ben Kriener in 2nd place and Alessandro Brigatti in 3rd place. Simon Palat in 4th position ahead of Lorenzo Marcucci in 5th place. Stefano Gustavalle is in 6th place ahead of Alain Mouscaron, Max Lancer, Nave Talla and Ulysse Delso. Those are the final qualifiers for the main event. So just missing out, so having to come into this race here, which is the last chance qualification race. Alexander Graf, Francesco Garisto, Advait Gioda, Iglesias is the driver name. We'll pick up on that. I should have had something.
I can tell you something about
please,
it.
Please
I
do.
was confused too in the very first second.
Is that Jan Solans?
Yes, he's the World Junior Rally Champion of the WRC. But he has a different name right here. I don't know why. Right,
that's why the added confusion then. So, he races in the WRC, but his brother Niels is a junior WRC and WRC 3 champion. So I think it's his brother that's the champion. So Jan Solans then. So we're about to get this consolation race underway. Thanks for that, Andre, as well. We might at some point get our Jeffrey Rufen coming to have a chat to us. I'm sure he'll be scooped up potentially and heading towards live commentary, but this is the last chance consolation race for these drivers. So remember, just the top 6 in this one will go through. It's only a 10-minute race again. It's a full grid of cars. You look how busy it is, and remember, we haven't even awarded a championship point yet. That will only come in the main race. And remember also that our champion overall in the EuroNASCAR Esports Series will carry 40 actual championship points into the team's championship for the real championship when we get it up and running. I think we're the only esports series that are doing that at the moment. So it is going to be Henry Tuamala that sits there on pole position. Alongside him is Gustav Berggren, and the lights go out, and as they head up towards Paddock Hill Bend for the first time, it is going to be Henry Tuamala that leads. There's contact further back and already cars spinning around. Tomo Ferrando is off the circuit, unfortunately. Alessandro Bacci is off the circuit as well. That is just 2 of 4 cars that I think all got tangled up with each other as they went in towards Paddock Hill Bend for the first time. Was Rewrite on board with the car that's in 3rd place, the American driver, Eric Filgueres. Down the Cooper straight up towards the left-hander at Surtees, then flicking right at McLaren, then onto Clearways and Clark Curve, but it's one big long right-hander in this circuit. Side by side, Gustav Berggren looking to try and fight his way through the order. Somebody just lagging out a little bit in terms of screen, was there 1 minute and not the next. But in live commentary, we've got our Heat 3 winner. Jeffrey Ruben joins us in live commentary. Welcome along, Jeffrey. Another win for you. You claimed a Heat win last week at Daytona. You've just done it here at Brands Hatch. Well done. How was it out there? It looked as though it was tight in the early stages, but you just got the break.
Yeah, it was a little bit of quite nervous. I've been watching out. Yeah, then quite comfortable every lap. Not so bad.
And for somebody that's usually the crew chief with Hendricks Motorsport, e-racing something that you've been doing regularly?
Yeah, I did a lot more for myself because I'm driving wheel 5 race cars. So yeah, it was good for me to practice also from sim. Yeah, this is also a good opportunity for me to see what I can compare to other drivers in NASCAR.
What's the strategy, if you can have one, for the main event? If you just sort of get through the first corner safe and see what happens in the race?
Yeah, try out for traffic in the end of the race, but see what the first lap does, and everything can happen.
Well, very well done on your heat win again. We'll let you head back out to get ready for the main race that will be coming up in about 8 minutes' time. Well done.
Thank you.
There we go. So that's Jeffrey Rufen. Well done to the production team as well, and Andre and everybody else for, and Gianluca, I ought to say, for picking up on our heat winners. Alessio Bacci having contact there. I think that was a replay that showed the contact that was made between himself and one of his competitors. In the meantime, out front is still Henry Tuamala, but Eric Filgueres and Lassie Sorensen are at it again. We saw them, Andre, absolutely together in their heats earlier on. Unfortunately, when the two of them came together, but they're pretty much riding with each other again in this one. Closing down, I would say, on race leader Henry Tuamala at the moment. He's got his hands full, doesn't he, Andre?
Yeah, right. It's a great battle, and between teammates, it's always something very, very special, I think. And I really like the liveries of the cars. I'm really looking forward to see those DF1 racing cars in real life, because they're looking very, very good. And I think now we have a position change. I think there's happening something with Henry Tuamala, right?
Yeah, we do, and it looks as though all of a sudden Tuamala's down into 3rd place because Lassie Sorensen got the runs coming out of Clearways and Clark Curve and went through, and it was heading up towards Paddock Hill Bend where Eric Filgueres went through. Now Tuamala is coming under pressure from his former team boss. Tuamala moving over to DF1 racing for this year, but right behind him is the Memphis racing car of Alexander Graf, the team that he raced with in the 2019 championship season. So Henry Tuamala's got the former boss sitting behind him, and the boss that propelled him, Henry Tuamala, to the Challenger Championship last year. He was the Challenger champion but finished 15th overall in the series. So he's got his hands full, I would say, towards the end here. 4 minutes of the race ticked through. Lassie Sorensen leads the race. The gap between himself and number 70, Eric Filgueres, still hovering around a second and a half at this stage. It's Chevy's 1, 2, 3, 4, and I think 5 at the moment as well. Yeah, but Yoda's there in 5th place. Number 277 is another Chevy of Gustav Berggren. I'm wondering where the first non-Chevy is in the field. Davide Dallara is a Chevy. Let's have a quick look. In number 42 is a Ford. Luigi Ferrara is the first of the non-Chevys at the moment, sitting there in 8th position. So that's the first non-Chevy. The championship entry list dominated by Chevys, but we do have Fords and Toyotas in there as well. Alexander Graf sitting in 4th place. You can see the tail end of the car under acceleration, even way round through Clark Curve, starting to step away. Here is Michael Neymas, who is driving one of the circuit cars for this weekend. We've got a few of the championship circuits that we would visit that have entered cars into this one, and he's driving one of those. We're going to have another quick look at the replay. Right, Advet Yoda, the London-based Indian, all over the grass coming out of Clark Curve, losing a position, but just managed to keep the Cal Racing Chevrolet out of the barriers, and that now means that Advet Yoda has dropped down into 7th position. Davide Delara having gone through. So Henry Tuamala looking to see whether he can hang on to 3rd position. Eric Filgueiras dropping ever more away from Lassie Sorensen. It was 1.5 seconds, wasn't it, the gap a couple of laps ago, but it's now opened up by more than double. It's up to 3.2 seconds between the pair of them. The best of the fights is the one we're watching at the moment. 3rd place, Henry Tuamala, under pressure from his fellow Scandinavian, Alexander Graf, sitting right behind the Finn, ahead of the Swede. We go on board with Alexander Graf, looking at the cars that lie ahead, a bit of traffic as well that we'll need dealing with before too much longer. And Henry Tuamala is going to have to deal with this little bit of traffic as they work their way out of Clark Curve. You can hear the throttle being applied, then full throttle as you come round through the corner, counter a little bit of oversteer, the power oversteer in the cars. And then from there it's hard on the brakes into the braking area, over the bump as well, just at pit lane exits there that you need to deal with as well, which can really unsettle the cars. Luigi Ferreira running in 8th position. He's got just ahead of him Advait Diodo. He's got Roy Hendricks behind him. Then the number 79 car, which I picked up on briefly a while ago, with Mika Mimas, who is a multiple world slot car champion and one of the best model builders in the world. We've seen him race cars for real. It was some years ago now, back in Formula BMW ADAC, and also he has competed in the Nürburgring 24 Hour, but he jumps on board the Hockenheim American Fan Fest Chevy for this weekend. Davide Delara running in 6th position. Now for me, there's a few drivers, I would say, Andre, who I would have expected to have made progress in this one, but for whatever reason, they've had problems. Jacques Villeneuve is out, Sven van Laarde is out, Ander Villarino is in the pit lane, and Gianni Morbidelli is also in the pit lane. So 4 quick drivers there. That's just not gone to plan for them, has it?
Yeah, and that's racing, you know. One slight mistake, or you have a little bit bad luck with another competitor or something like this, and you will ruin your race. And it's the last chance qualifier, you know. Everybody is taking a lot of risks to get into those top 6 spots to advance to the main race. So everything is on the line right now, and I think the aggression is a little bit higher than in the heat races right now. So every little mistake can ruin a race.
And that was nearly what happened on the replay there to Alexander Graf. Of arm twirling being done there to try and wrestle the number 77 Memphis Racing Chevy back under his spell, and he just avoided taking it into the barriers. He didn't lose the place, he's still in 4th position, but all of the gap that he was working on to close right up onto Henry Tuamala has now cost him quite dear. He's still in 4th place, but he's now sort of 8 seconds behind at this stage, and coming under pressure from car number 189 Davide Delara, who has just moved up into 5th place and dispensed down into 6th. Gustav Berggren, another one of the Swedes, at the win of the second of the 2 Memphis Racing Chevys that we've got in the field. So I'm going to bring Jerome Galpin back in, who still sits with us in live commentary. We've got, 1 minute and 20 seconds to go in this race before we then head to the important things, the main race, the first of the main championship races, Jerome, and from a championship that's gone from nothing to 73 drivers in, 4 weeks?
Yeah, absolutely. We are at the moment we are really working, you know, on the coming back to the real life track also for the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. So we are working to monitor the situation. You know, we are at a point where some countries are expressing, you know, guidelines and so on. So we keep working on that, and we try to really gather a nice calendar to be able to see when we will be racing again on real track. So we are super happy with this action on virtual track, and I hope during the summer, or at least early September, we will be able to rejoin. We wait for information regarding our events in Most and Venray, but most probably it looks like we will be back on track by let's say mid to end of the summer, or at least early September.
We'll keep our eye on that. It's a moving feast, I understand, but yeah, absolutely. Keep your eye on social media. As soon as there's news, it will be released on social media. White flag is out. We're on the final lap. Alexander Graf's car must have run out of tyres a few laps ago, because The number 77 Chevy is all over the place over the course of the last few laps, but it is another Scandinavian, another Swede that comes through to grab the win. Lasse Sorensen took 2 wins for Rio at Brands Hatch in EuroNASCAR 2 last year. He's just claimed his first win in the E-Series here, so that will see him safely through. Eric Filgueiras will also take up a slot in the main race, as will Henry Tuomala, who finished in 3rd place. 4th is just going to go the way of Gustav Berggren, who will finish in 4th. Davide Dallara finishes in 5th place, and Advait Dioda in the end takes 6th on the very final lap, because Alexander Graf, all of the hard work he'd done to work his way up through the order, I'm sure the car just absolutely ran out of tyres as far as he was concerned, and he dropped from something like 4th to 8th position over the course of the last few laps. I did see him let through Gustav Berggren, Alexander Graf, because they both race for the same team, they're both from the same country, and I think, you know, he probably knew that it's a slower car at the time, but was hoping still he could hang on into a position, the top 6, that would see him through into the main event. And it's the main event that's coming up very, very shortly. That will carry the championship points. So there's some of the cars that haven't made it through, but those that have made it through, the final 6 will go through. Lasse Sorensen will go through onto the grid for the main event, as will Eric Filgueiras, Henry Tuomala and Gustav Berggren will go through. Everybody thereafter, from Davide Dallara down, will not make it through to the main event. So that's seen some of the action. We had a quick look earlier on at what went on at Brands Hatch on the Saturday of the real racing last year. I think we can now, perhaps, if it's queued up by Stefano and the production team, have a look at the Saturday highlights. What went on at Brands Hatch on the Saturday of 2019? So perfect timing. Alan Day and Andre Castro line up on the front row of the grid. We're about to get the first championship race for the EuroNASCAR Esports Series in conjunction with iRacing underway. It's a start from Alan Day as they charge their way up towards Paddock Hill Bend for the first time. There's contact and spins further down through the order. Already cars getting involved with each other, and I think Alain Muscaron was one of those that was sideways before they even got over the start-finish line. Alex Fontana with work to do from the tail end of the field, and already damaged cars coming through, but Alan Day won't worry about that. He leads the race from Andre Castro in second place, Guillaume de Flandre sitting there in third place, and fourth at the moment. We spoke to him earlier on, Jeffrey Rufen, safely through the first few corners, up towards Surtees, on towards McLaren and Clearways Corner. It's all going to come down to this 30-minute race. Plenty of time for the drivers to settle in. Already though, Andre Castro and Alan Day looking to try and make a break. Guillaume de Flandre looking to try and stick with them, but Jeffrey Rufen was just a little bit too heavy, accelerating his way out of Clark Curve. I'm going to bring Andre Weigold in now that we've completed the first lap of the race. We saw cars running out of tyres after just 10 minutes. 30-minute race now, Andre. They've got to be careful.
Yes, right. It's a completely different challenge. We have this very short heat races now. No, it's like a little bit like a short endurance race, this 30-minute race. You have to check the tires, you have to check the grip conditions on the track, you have to manage the traffic. There are so many challenges that drivers are facing right now in this race, and let's see who's the most consistent driver in this race. I think the guy who has the best average will win.
And the difficulty is as well is that we've got no full course cautions. It's all localised yellow. So if you have a problem, it's impossible to catch back up.
Yes, right. But it's good for the spectators to have no safety car, because we saw a lot of crashes, so we would have a lot of safety car or pace car laps. So we have only no precautions. So again, a lot of green flag racing. Though in the end, consistency is key, and we will see who's managing the tires best. I think going on full attack is not the best strategy, especially in the opening round.
I think so. I think if you go full attack, you're soon going to run out of tyres. It looks as though out of the race is already... right, he was dropping with the order. No, he's dropped down into 12th position by the look of things, Jochimsen there. We also saw a mistake for Advent Dioda up at Paddock Kilbend. Here's Loris Hazemans. He sits there in 5th position at the moment, keeping Jeffrey Rufen very honest indeed. Now, remember, Hazemans is the reigning EuroNASCAR Pro champion. He secured that title with Hendricks Motorsport, and at the moment ahead of him is the crew chief for one of the sister cars from Hendricks Motorsport. So they are in the same team. They do need to be careful. They need to work together just to make sure they stay in contact with the top 3 at the moment. Alain Day, Andre Castro and Guillaume de Flandre, all of whom are within, 3/4 of a second of each other. In reality, 4 laps already completed, lap 5 about to be chalked into the book, 3 minutes gone of the scheduled 30. Alain Day leading the race, a driver who in real life has been hugely successful here, Alain Day. He's had 3 wins for real in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series at Brands Hatch. He took 1 win in 2016. He took another win in 2017, missed out in 18, took the car back towards victory lane last year in 2019. So he has been a 3 times winner for real here. Can he pick up the first 40 championship points, remember, on offer in the EuroNASCAR E-Series in conjunction with iRacing, supported by i.cin.com and Sim Racing League. And of course, remember, it's not just them, the likes of Kennel and everybody else involved, and TJ on board as well. They'll make a titanium ring for the series winner as well. We thank them all for their support. Brian Krill's being kept, or looking to try and keep ahead of him. The number 166 car, that is Andreas Jochimsen, the Super GT Denmark amateur champion for 2019, as we go on board with Andre Castro looking ahead at race leader. But already you can see there's traffic just up the road. Jerome Galpin still stays in live commentary. Jerome, this is what the drivers have been looking forward to. We had the prologue at Daytona, but now pressure is on. It might not be real racing, but they're all competitive guys. Everybody will want to win.
Exactly, it's all about competition, and we can see that all our drivers they are doing their best. We can see that some of them have much more experience on virtual racing than some others, but we have seen this week that they were training a lot, and they are all competitors. They all want to win. So I think the championship will get, the races will get better and better as we move forward.
Well, I was thinking about the time zone differences for some of these drivers. So the ones in Europe, it's not too bad. There's only a couple of hours time difference, but potentially we might have had Bobby Labonte in this evening. He's had a slight technical issue with his equipment at home, so he's not with us this week. And Kenko Miura was scheduled to join us, and of course he lives in Japan. So some of the testing and practice sessions of even these races will be taking place either sort of afternoon for some of them, like Bobby Labonte, but in the middle of the night for Kenko Miura.
Yeah, that's the fact. We have drivers coming from all over the world, so it's more easy when we gather all together on a race tracks in real life. But at this time, yeah, we have to manage something that makes sense for everybody. And of course, it will be a bit late for Kenko Miura in Japan, but it will be right after midday for Bobby and Andre Castro in the US. So it's a good mix. And when you love racing, whatever time zone you are or whatever time it is, you go and race for victory.
Absolutely. The good thing is it doesn't take you long to get home if it's esports, is it? So yeah, hopefully we'll see Kenko and Bobby out later in the year. Over the start finish line comes Alain Day. We look back towards Giorgio Maggi, who's running down in 20th position at the moment. Now, Giorgio will be hoping that he might have worked his way up further than that. He was runner-up in NASCAR 2 last year in his debut season, the 22-year-old, but down in 20th position in this one. A bit more work to do. At the front though, the fight is still raging. Alan Day from Andre Castro and Guillaume de Flandre, still that 3/4 of a second between the three of them. Jeffrey Ruben has now dropped back from them. He is a further 2 seconds adrift of de Flandre, who's in third place. Ruben's in fourth. Still with Loris Hazeman's not too far away. Ben Kriener's still in the mix as well. He sits there in sixth place. Alessandro Bugatti in seventh. Sedgwick in eighth, ahead of Andreas Jochumsen, and Brian Kruls rounds out the top 10 as the leaders have traffic, because Simon Palat moves out of the way and allows the leading three to squeeze their way through without too much of a problem, and that has not compromised any of the top three. And again, cars, I think, blending out of the throttle to allow them through. Fabrizio Amata just also making sure that he doesn't get involved with the battle for the lead of the race, using all of that experience that he's got from things like Superstars and GT Open and even Formula 4 back in the day, the 45-year-old, staying out of the way. Race lead still continues, 7.5 minutes gone, so still the best part of 22.5 minutes to go. Over the start-finish line they'll go, still pushing hard. Alan Day was leading the vast majority of the main race in the prologue event at Daytona on the road course last week, until that final lap bump and run from the car that sits directly behind him. He'll be watching his mirrors. He did say at some point he would return the favour to Andre Castro over the course of the season. It was quite a light-hearted, an interesting interview that took place between them afterwards as well. Had it have been real racing, I suspect it might have been slightly different, but more traffic is going to continually just have to be dealt with. Most of it doing well, to be fair. I did see there the car of Ruben Garcia up at Druids, it would have been, moving all the way onto the grass to stay out of harm's way. We go to the copter camp, looking at Giorgio Maggi, who sits there in 19th position. Eric Filgueres at the wheel of the Michu Motors Chevy sitting ahead of him, the two of them heading on to the Cooper Straight. And again, I think that's Ruben Garcia, I think, who's limping his way around. I think we might see that number 888 car in the hands of the multiple NASCAR Mexican champion head towards pit lane. And of course, he's another driver that we did see out in the ENESCAR series as well. He took in the Texas round of the series. Filgueres is in the pit lane. Now that may well be for a drive-through penalty for Eric Filgueres. He had been fighting away with Giorgio Maggi, but we saw him trundling down pit lane as we go back to the lead of the race. And Alan Day's made a mistake there. Alan Day has lost the lead of the race and has gone off the circuit at McLaren Clearways corner. So Andre Castro picks up the lead of the race. Guillaume de Flandre goes through into second, and Alan Day, I'm sure we'll get a replay, must have made a mistake there and went off the circuit. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, just touched wheels onto the grass, and then from there was no bringing the car back onto the tarmac. A mistake for Alan Day, and that has dropped him down through the order, down into third position, and all of that hard work he's done pushing hard has all come undone. And also the big question now is, what state might his tyres have been in? We've now got two for the lead of the race. Andre Weigold is still there in commentary with me. Andre, we don't see many mistakes from Alan Day, but that looked like one.
Yes, it looked like one. It's a crucial time. I think we were a little bit more than 10 minutes. The tires are starting to fall off, and we have a lot of tire wear, but I think it's also a little bit of concentration, you know. A single mistake at Brands Hatch and you're out. It's one of those tracks who does not forgive any mistakes, and we saw it right now. And now we have a great battle with Andre Castro against Guillaume de Flandre, and I think Guillaume de Flandre is one of those guys who's also always wants to use the bumper. I think he's one of those guys who could also use a bump and run on Andre Castro. We saw it definitely last week what he did. So I think he said, okay, when he's doing it, why can I not do it again? So Guillaume de Flandre was a very aggressive driver in real life, so I think he's going to use that bumper also in the virtual.
Yeah, he's got 3 NASCAR career wins, hasn't he, Guillaume de Flandre? And one of them came here at Brands Hatch. It was the first of the 2 races in the 2018 visit when he won in what is nowadays EuroNASCAR 2, of course. We go on board with Jeffrey Ruben on board the Hendricks Motorsport car number 307, running there in 4th position, running now in 5th position, because I think Loris Hazeman's has just gone through and taken that place away. So Hazeman's now moves up into 4th place. There goes the number 50 car in the hands of the reigning EuroNASCAR Pro champion. Loris, who did so superbly well last year. He was also the junior champion last year, which was another title he scooped up in 2018. The junior championship is for those drivers that enter EuroNASCAR Pro and are aged under 25 at the beginning of the season. That's 2 years on the trot that he's managed to do that. The battle for the lead of the race, however, still continues to rage. Andre Castro out front, leading the race. The 21-year-old American leads it from Guillaume de Flandre, similar age as well, 21 years of age, sitting there in second position. But I think Kramer's showing us in pit road somewhere, so whether that's a drive through for him, but the number 105 car will tumble down through the order as the leaders, now with 12 minutes gone, turn their way round through Surtees, the left-hander, then up towards McLaren, on towards Clearways, and then Clark Curve for what is now the 17th time. There's more traffic just up the road, and this is what Andre Castro is really going to have to watch now. He's got to push hard because he's got the Flandre right behind him. He also needs to absolutely consider what the traffic might be doing as well. A bit defensive heading up towards Druids from him that time through. As they exit the corner this time and start to head back downhill, are we going to see any further changes in the order? Not for the moment, because there's nothing that the Flandre can do about it, and the traffic is helping as well because it's staying well and truly out of the way. Looking back at the Flandre, any attack this time, that's an opportunity potentially to overtake there at Clearways if you're brave, but for the moment, no, there's still plenty of time to work out where, if any, weakness might be from Andre Castro. But as we've seen from Alan Day, slight lock-up or braking a little bit late can really cause you some difficulties here at Brands Hatch, because there is the number 24 PK Carsport prepared Monster Energy Chevy sitting down in third position. The gap, 2.8 seconds still that he needs to make up to the race leader. Out of Druids, you can see behind him is the Hendricks Motorsport Ford of Loris Hazemans. Back to the race leaders now. Now this is more traffic coming up as well. And who are they about to catch up with? It's one of the Cal Racing cars. They're about to close in towards the tail end of. Can't quite pick it up because it's got the damage on the back. It moves neatly out of the way, so good driving by Stefano Gustav, team member for Cal Racing, who saw them coming and got out of the way. So that's another lapped car now at this stage. And that has just for the first time, maybe, I thought it maybe had given Andre Castro a little bit of a break, but all of a sudden he's absolutely under pressure again from de Flandre, and the car sort of got a little bit skittish on the race leader there, heading round through Druids corner. The tyres starting to wear all of the time, traffic to continually have to deal with. It's going to be a tough final 16 minutes of this race. We're not even halfway through it, and the work will just keep piling up on these two if they want to claim the victory. And remember, 40 points for a race win in the E-Series, 35 for second, and diminishing by one single point for every position they're on. Driver who gains the most places, start position to finish position, will gain 4 extra championship points. Ben Creaner, the Scotsman, running in 8th position. He's done a lot of e-racing over the years. As we have another quick look at a replay, and let's just have a look at what might have happened here. Not entirely sure. We'll pick up on that maybe a little bit later. Race leaders still with that traffic to deal with, and well, the prologue event was a success, Jerome Galpin. We saw 2 cars bumper to bumper for the whole race, and well, we had 3 at the beginning of this one, Jerome, until Alan Day made his mistake, but certainly Andre Castro and Guillaume de Flandre are fighting it out.
Yeah, this is exactly what you can see also in real life. You know, we have the same format with really high action and intense races. So you can be sure when you come to a NASCAR Whelen Euro Series event to see really big battles, door-to-door battles. That's why we call it pure racing. Mark, you know that better than me, but Brands Hatch, when you never raced at Brands Hatch, it looks like it's a small and easy circuit. But after a few laps, you really realize that it is really challenging. It's really intense. You can never rest. And I remember the first time we went to Brands Hatch, my driver said, hey, it's a small circuit, and after the first practice session, they all come back to me saying, wow, it's much more challenging than what we expected. You can never race. You have always to be focused and battling. So I'm really happy. That's why we selected this Indy track, because when you are in the grandstand, you can see the whole action. And this is really like an arena. So it always offers a great show.
Brands Hatch year on. Yeah, there's a little bit of a touch there. I think Guillaume de Flandre gets himself alongside Andre Castro. The two of them side by side. Castro's got the inside line as they come down in towards Graham Hill Bend and should go through as long as he's neat and tidy coming off the corner, which he is. The raft of traffic up the road as well. So yeah, watch out for hopefully a rescheduled Brands Hatch event. Speedfest, I think, will be 8 this year, and it draws in one of the largest crowds of the year, not just the Brands Hatch, but for the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series as well. But of course, don't forget that we have a travel around Europe with visits, potentially subject to what the season looks like, in Belgium, in Germany, in the Netherlands. We'll head to Italy, to Vallelunga for the first time to that particular Italian circuit just outside of Rome. Riccardo Tormo and Most as well as, of course, Brands Hatch. In the E-Series, we will return to Brands Hatch, but on the Grand Prix circuit in a few weeks' time. More traffic to be dealt with as well. Castro dealing with it super efficiently. Guillaume de Flandre follows him through as well. And now there's a raft of what's 4 cars that they are coming up against. I think it's the car in 21st position. Alex Fontana is going to be the next of those. Then it's cars that are busy battling away at this stage, which looks as though they might perhaps not see the race leaders coming through to the same degree. Alex Fontana does bottle up, I'm afraid, there, Andre Castro. Castro couldn't get through before Paddock Hill Bend. Is he going to be able to get through on the run up towards Druids? No, they're all busy fighting for position. I think now Alex Fontana sees him come through, but it might be too late for Andre Castro because Guillaume de Flandre has got the advantage and has got the inside line coming down in towards Graham Hill Bend. Guillaume de Flandre for the first time picks up the lead of the race, but then runs a little bit wide coming off the corner. Now allows Andre Castro to come back down the Cooper Straight side by side through Surtees corner, and all of a sudden Andre Castro's back in the lead. Then there's a little bit of contact with de Flandre on the back end of Castro. That nearly puts Castro in the gravel, and de Flandre is back through into the race. So they've swapped back, and they've swapped again, and now de Flandre, who's in the lead of the race, is under pressure from Alan Day. It might be e-racing, but this is still pure racing here at Brands Hatch, and Andre Castro will be thinking, I didn't do a great deal wrong there was a bit of traffic. Alex Fontana still not doing Castro any favours. He's only now finally through. He's down to 3rd. He didn't do a great deal wrong, and he's still under pressure from the car in 4th place now as well. Loris Hazelman's the top 4 cars separated by 0.2 of a second, and as we suggested, Andre, at the beginning of this race, the traffic is going to have a pivotal role to play.
Yes, right. The Indy Circuit at Brands Hatch is very small, and we have 36 drivers on the grid, and of course there's traffic. And when the guys are racing their own race, they're fighting their own battles. Why should they move away? They want to gain as many points as possible, so if they are in a battle by themselves, they will not back up. And I really think that's the right thing to do as a racing driver. You have to focus on your own race. Be fair, be clean. If you have the opportunity to let a lapping car go by, everything's fine. But when you're in a battle, you cannot just give up a position because the leader is coming. That's NASCAR racing, in my opinion.
There's championship points up for grabs, and yeah, in reality, if you're having your own race, the back markers can't disappear. It's up to the leaders to find their way through. Andre Castro now looking to see whether he can close back onto the coattails of Alan Day, who's not that far behind Guillaume de Flandre. De Flandre a little bit wide, heading around through Clearways and Clark Curve there. Might get a bit more momentum coming off it, though, as a result of that wide line midway through. They're about to come up on the Israeli driving Nave Talor, and he moves neatly out of the way, allows the top 3 to go through up towards Paddock Hill Bend. We jump on board with double former NASCAR Whelen Euro Series champion Alan Day, the PK Car Sport Monster Energy backed Chevy sitting there in 2nd position. There's Andre Castro behind him, the black car, but with the Dutch stripes down the centre of it is going to be Loris Hazelmans, who's in 4th position. There we go, 1, 2, 3 and 4 all together along the Cooper Straight. But at the moment, it's the Belgian that leads, from the Israeli in 2nd place, the American in 3rd place, and the Dutchman in 4th. Alex Sedgwick going beautifully well now. He's in 5th position and looking to see whether he might be able to close the gap. He's got a lot of work to do if he wants to close upon these 4, but subject to the traffic that they meet and what they've done with their tyres in the early stages of the race, it's perhaps not an unsurmountable task for him. We're into the final 8 minutes of this race. Remember, the championship opens up this weekend. We will head back over the Atlantic, virtually of course, to Watkins Glen, so in the state of New York, for the same format next week as well, and I'm sure we will see a raft of potential new drivers join the championship, and other drivers perhaps swap cars for next weekend as well, particularly the circuit cars. Here we go, look, Alan Day is looking to try and hang on to the position. Andre Castro is fighting back though now. They were almost side by side as they came out of clearways. They go back to being nose to tail as they come down the Brabham Straight. The order still remains the same with 8 minutes to go. It's De Flandre from Day, from Castro, from Loris Hazemans, and now in 5th place Lasse Sorensen moves up into 5th position. Alex Sedgwick all of a sudden now showing down in 9th place. So Lasse Sorensen in 5th place, doing battle with a fellow Dane, Andreas Jochumsen, both of them of course in DF1 Racing Chevys as well, so very much teammates. We go on board Alan Day. Chase cam looking back at Andre Castro. You can see just how close the two Chevys get to each other as they head out of Clearways Corner. Another 2 kilometres about to be put into the book, 1.2 miles around this 5-turn really, Brands Hatch, and that's now means that there's just 7.5 minutes to go. Can De Flandre claim a victory here? Traffic still to be dealt with. Needing to move out of the way is Max Lancer, the former motorcycle racer. We saw him racing in GT Italia as well. He gets lapped by the race leader. Max Lancer, I think, will also let Alan Day go through. Compromise the run a little bit in towards Graham Hill Bend for Andre Castro, so that's put a bit more daylight between the 2nd and 3rd place cars. Perhaps put Andre Castro in 3rd place, ever more under pressure from the 4th place machine, the black car with the stripes down the centre of it, in the hands of the reigning NASCAR Pro champion Loris Hazemans. Go on board with Andre Castro, front looking camera. That's Alan Day that sits ahead of us. You can hear the power wind up as they head down the straight, and look at the crest here coming in towards Paddock Hill Bend. You can't see the apex. You commit, then you see the apex, then the circuit drops away. Adverse camber as well. You have to be careful not to run the car wide there. It is such a difficult corner to master, and in reality the best thing to do is turn in earlier than you think. If you turn in earlier than you think and you're going to overrun the curve on the inside, at least you can take a little bit of steering lock off to grab the apex. If you turn in too late, then you're always going to be in trouble at Paddock Hill Bend, because the adverse camber on the exit drops you ever closer towards the curbs, and that tantalising prospect of heading in towards the gravel. But neat and tidy by the top 4, still remaining in the same order. Andre, we've got 6 minutes to go at the moment. It looks as though these cars at the front seem to have good tyres still.
Yes, right. I cannot believe it right now. We saw tires fall down in the heat after 10 minutes, and now we are in the final 5 minutes of this race, and all of them seems to have no problems with those tires, but they're all stacked together right now. Sorry.
And we know they're all on the same setup as well. We know that.
Yes, definitely. So adopting the driving style seems to be the key to success here. And what I really like between Alan Day, between Andre Castro, Guillaume de Flandre in those battles, Robin is racing. That's all about in NASCAR. They did not wreck each other. They did not spin each other. They just give the other guy a little bump here, and they run bumper to bumper in a simulation. They are very respectful to each other. They are very, very precise and clean. We have great sim racing, like real racing. They all have the right mindset going into this sim race. Try to not wreck each other. Try to give us the best possible product. I really love it.
It's been brilliant, yeah. Both the prologue event at Daytona and this weekend at Brands Hatch, or this evening's one here at Brands Hatch, have been fantastic. Looking forward to Watkins Glen next weekend, and of course we will continue with Zandvoort and Indianapolis, back to Brands Hatch on the Grand Prix circuit, over to Charlotte on the Roval, and the finals take place at Zolder. Remember, playoffs are double points, as is the final as well, so it will be 80 points for a win rather than the 40. And this is all just the EuroNASCAR E-Series as well, in conjunction with iRacing. Once, and fingers crossed, we get racing for real this year, do log on to EuroNASCAR.com and have a look at the revised calendar of what it might look like, because as we heard from Jerome Galpin, it is a moving feast, understandably at the moment, as some countries open up borders and things change on a daily basis. Traffic to be dealt with. 4 minutes to go, and Guillaume de Flandre is able to work his way past Sebastian Bleekie-Molen, I would have thought. Was Bleekie-Molen going to yield? No, he's not. He's not making it easy, so de Flandre has to go around the outside of Graham Hill Bend, and now he's got a bit of a break between himself and Alan Day, who should be able to squeeze through and lap that car on the run up towards Surtees Corner. I think Bleekie-Molen now realises, the quick cars are coming through, so Andre Castro and Loris Hazemans probably got a better run through the back markers there than perhaps the cars in first and second position did, and now the gap has increased all of a sudden to 0.7 of a second, and for the first time I saw a bit of tail wagging on the car there. In second place, Alan Day, just as he started to accelerate on towards Clark Curve. You can see the tail end of the car starting to break away. In pit road as well, was running in 6th position, but dropping down through the order is the Danish driver Andreas Jørgensen. So whether that's drive-through or whether that is a problem, but his car is showing in pit lane, he's exiting already, must have been a drive-through for him. So that promotes the likes of Brian Kruls, Ben Greener, Jeffrey Rufen, and Alex Sedgwick and Alessandro Borgatti, all now inside the top 10. Out of Clark Curve on towards the Brabant straight, Guillaume de Flandre now opening up the gap because Alan Day, Andre Castro and Loris Hasemans are all busy squabbling over the final 2 podium spots. If they stay where they are at the moment, it will be Hasemans, the reigning EuroNASCAR Pro Champion for 2019, that will miss out. But the traffic has certainly helped de Flandre. He's just been able to, for the first time, have a bit of daylight between his rear bumper and the front bumper of the cars that have continually sat behind him since he took the lead of the race. Again, Alan Day sideways coming out of Graham Hill Bend. That's the second time now I've seen the Monster Energy Chevy start to break away from the double former champion. Let's have a look this time. Can he get the car turned in towards Clearways Corner? Yes, he does. Takes a slightly later apex, but it was when he got on the power coming out of Clark Curve here where the car started to break away last time. No, neat and tidy that time. Fed the throttle in, understood what the car was doing from the previous lap, corrected the driving style for this lap, and Andre with a couple of minutes to go. That's what they've had to do, isn't it? Continually as the tyres go off and the fuel load lightens, you've got to change your driving style.
Yes, right, adopting. You cannot change anything on the car. You cannot make a pit stop because you lose a lot of time to get new tires. You cannot change anything on the chassis. You cannot change anything on the tires for your driving style. So the big challenge is how aggressive you want to be in the beginning, how aggressive you want to run in the end of the race. So yeah, adopting the driving style to what the car gives you, what the track gives you. That's the big challenge here, and I think the top 4 drivers are doing a great job.
And I suspect that some of them, with all of the testing that have been doing, have probably been doing full race simulations to understand what that drop-off looks like. We're right on board with Andre Castro running in 3rd position. Alan Day didn't quite make the apex there, though, at Paddock Hill Bend. Is this going to give Castro a run heading up Halewood Hill? Not quite. Alan Day's able to defend. Again, you can just see as he looks to try and turn his way through the right-hander. There's another bit of traffic that he'll have to deal with. The white flag should be coming out next time through, I would have thought, because Guillaume de Flandre should just make it over the start-finish line with a few seconds to spare on the clock. And at the moment, he's still 1 second to the good from this trio of cars behind, but there's more traffic that he's going to have to deal with over the course of the final lap of this first championship race for the EuroNASCAR Esports Series. Out of over the start-finish line they will go, and are we going to see anything shake up on the final lap here? Just having a quick refresh of another screen that I've got running. Guillaume de Flandre is still looking good for the win here, but Alan Day has closed that gap down to 0.8 of a second. Is he going to be able to close and get by? So difficult to pass here at Brands Hatch. There is traffic up the road, but I think it's just a bit too far up the road as far as Alan Day is concerned. He missed out on a victory when he finished 2nd on the prologue event at Daytona last week. Now he is too far away to do anything about Guillaume de Flandre, who has won a previous race here for real in EuroNASCAR 2 back in 2018. He's going to sweep his way through the final back marker up towards the checkered flag, and it is going to be a win for Guillaume de Flandre and 40 championship points in the opening EuroNASCAR Esports Series race of the season in conjunction with iRacing, supported by i-cin.com and SimRacing League, and of course TJ on board as well to provide the series winner with that titanium ring as per the real championships as well. De Flandre claims the win from Alan Day in 2nd place, less than a second behind in the end, and Andre Castro not far away from that. Loris Hasemans will finish in 4th, ahead of Lasse Sorensen in 5th place, and Brian Kruls will complete the top 6. So that was a great way to end the racing. Cars still filing their way over the start-finish line, and hoping that via the technologies and the various things that we are using, we might be able to grab a word with them. We might even be able to see them as well. We're hoping that we'll be able to set up some interviews with them where we can actually see them on the screen as well, potentially. We'll wait and see on that though. So it is De Flandre that claims the win. The drivers heading towards the pit lane, and once the drivers are in pit lane, then we will grab a quick word with them. Confirmation of the results then. It's a win for Guillaume De Flandre in the opening round of the EuroNASCAR E-Series. Alan Day in second place. Andre Castro in third. Lawrence Hazelman's in fourth. Lassie Sorensen in fifth. And Bran Cruels completes the top six. Ben Kriener, Jeffrey Ruffin, Alex Sedgwick and Alessandro Brigatti complete the top 10. Then it is Marcel Lenertz, Ulysse Delso, Tobias Dauenhauer and Andreas Jochimsen that complete the top 14. Lorenzo Marcucci finishes in 15th place. Giorgio Maggi only 16th in the end, and Vittorio Garelli, another driver I thought might do well, was only in 17th place. 15-year-old Leonardo Colavita finishes in 18th place ahead of Alex Fontana. Alain Muscaron was the driver that completed the top 20. Nave Talar was 21st. Vladimir Tjoitsis was 22nd. Henry Tuamala, Gordon Barnes, Ruben Garcia, Eric Filgueres, Gustav Berggren and Stefano Gustavalle are there in the positions that we see from there on in. Drivers dropping into our virtual commentary box, which is great to see as well. Let's see if we can grab a quick word with our race winner who joins us in commentary, Guillaume De Flandre. Guillaume, congratulations, you've just won.
Thank you. Thanks NASCAR Whelen Euro Series for this race. It's really fun.
It was a difficult race, wasn't it? It was one that the three of you were all together. We saw maybe a slight mistake from Alan Day, which led you to grab the lead, but you were always under pressure until late on in the race.
Yeah, this race is really hard because the Alan Day and Castro is really fast. It's really difficult to follow and close the gap. The car is really slippery. You don't have a lot of grip. Enter the corner and exit the corner. You need the control your throttle every time.
But well, very well done. You claimed an actual win here in your NASCAR 2 a couple of years ago at Brands Hatch. You've just claimed your first EuroNASCAR Esports Series win. Well done, Guillaume.
Thank you.
We'll jump on and grab a quick word with Alan Day as well. Alan, it was runners-up spot as a result of the bump and run last week. It was runners-up spot because of a little mistake this week?
Yeah, first of all, congratulations to Guillaume. He did an incredible debut, I think. Yeah, what a bummer. I just made a mistake. I locked the front and went wide to the grass. And the moment you are on the grass, it's so hard. And as Guillaume said, controlling this car from the very first lap to the very end, it's almost, I can't even describe how hard is that task. I don't know who built that setup. I think it's Loris, right, Loris?
No, definitely was not. Definitely was not me. Definitely was not me.
Man, I'm pretty sure it's you. Anyway, the car was extremely hard to drive throughout the end of the race. It was a lot, really demanding, but yeah, we did a great job.
Sta parlando.
I think.
Well done, Alan. It's championship points. That's the main thing, and we'll move on. And no doubt you do lots of testing ready for Watkins Glen next week.
Yeah, I already won the first race we ever made here in Watkins Glen, so I know the track pretty well. But I know also those two guys, Guillaume and Andre, are extremely quick.
Yeah.
So I know I have a lot of work to do. And yeah, congratulations to both of them. It was a hell of a fight, especially dealing with back markers. I can't even. It was so hard. But yeah, congratulations to them, and hope to see them also in the next race. All of them. It was good fun. Good fun.
Well done, Alan. We'll move on to Andre Castro, who's also joining us in live commentary. Andre, well done. You know, it was one of those races that any one of 4 of you could have won. As it was for you, it was the final step on the podium.
Yeah, it was a good race until Guillaume just hit me so hard that Alain got by me too. So, yeah, I guess we're setting a precedent now. First me last week, and now Guillaume this week, that we're gonna hit people out of the way to win. So I guess it depends on the situation, and good win from Guillaume, but he's lucky I couldn't get back up to him because I definitely would have returned the favor, and he'll get it one of these races coming up. But no, it was a good race. It's just lap traffic came so hard into play, and that's what basically incited the battle between us. He was a little faster in the beginning, and then with lap traffic we started switching it up a little bit, and then I hung on. He just hit me out of the way. So yeah, that's how it is. I guess I can't complain. They did it to me. I did it to Alon last week. So
you did, yeah.
But
Wait,
yeah,
what? I didn't touch you.
No, I said last week I did it to you.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
No, this time I was as clean as possible.
Yeah, exactly. No, me too. I had a really good race with everyone, and it was a lot of fun. And I think it was a really good show for the fans. So excited to go to the US and to Watkins Glen, one of my favorite tracks, and race there.
I'm sure you've turned a wheel there many a time. Do you think that maybe Brands Hatch, all the drivers love the circuit? As a commentator, I absolutely love the circuit. But do you think that it is a tight and twisty circuit? It's not easy to overtake. Do you think that causes a bit more contact potentially?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just so hard to pass without making contact. Yeah. And at the end of the day, I guess you have to decide how you're going to play it. And I mean, it's just I had a lot of fun out there, and slipping and sliding around with these cars is a lot of fun. And just the fact that all four of us were so close together at the end was a lot of fun and really cool for the stream. So it's good for the series, and hopefully the race in Watkins Glen will be just as good.
Well, well done this evening. And there's another driver that finished in 4th place, just off the podium. But it's only right that we have a word with our reigning EuroNASCAR Pro champion from last year, Loris Hazemans, who finished in 4th place. Loris, you caught up with them in the end, but maybe a bit of delay at the start behind the crew chief of the number 7 Hendricks car. Jeffrey Rufen probably didn't help you out there because you were stuck behind him for a while.
Yeah, I was stuck behind him for a little while, but to be honest, I don't think on pure pace, I think I was like maybe half a tenth off. So I couldn't really keep up with the guys. But what I was hoping at the end is they were just going to crash the 3 guys off and I could take the win. But that didn't happen. Maybe next time, or hopefully next time, I'm just a little bit quicker. But it was a ton of fun for sure.
Give us your thoughts on next week at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, so together with Alan as well, I took part in that race as well. So the track I know the first corner is towards the right, so that's already good. I mean, it's definitely gonna be a tough track as well. Definitely what that on Watkins Glen is the big factor is the tire degradation. But Alan has a fantastic setup which we can obviously use. He said so. We'll have no problem with that.
You mentioned tire degradation. We saw in commentary that after 10 minutes, tires seem to be an issue for some drivers today. But in the 30-minute race, it didn't seem to be an issue. So did you all sort of adopt your driving style to make sure that you could get the best out of the tires on the longer race, the main event?
I mean, I didn't. I was pushing for my life, but maybe they did.
Happy with 4th? You won't be, will you?
No, I mean, definitely not happy. Podium would have been more fun, but definitely enjoyed the race. I think we gave quite an exciting battle towards the end. So congratulations to Guillaume and Alan, of course, and Andre. So I mean, definitely looking forward to have more fights like this with them in the future.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. Well done, Guillaume de Flandre. Well done, Alan. Thanks for joining us in live commentary, guys, as well. We'll bid them good night, and we'll sort of pick up a few points with Jerome Galpin and Andre Weigold, who still join me in live commentary. Andre, I'll come to you to start with. We've just seen 3 heats. We've seen a consolation race. We've seen a main event, and we've seen some pure racing.
Yes, pure virtual racing. And thanks to those 4 guys at the front, they really showed us and maybe also some other drivers how it works to have clean and exciting sim racing. We saw a lot of trouble in the back, but that exciting and thrilling racing at the front. So thank you very much for this show. We cannot see any real racing right now, and this virtual racing is really a good opportunity to at least have some good fights on the virtual racetracks. Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks, Andre, as well, and we'll have a final catch up with Jerome Galpin, the man behind the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, and of course the EuroNASCAR Esports Series in conjunction with iRacing as it is now. We had the prologue event last week at Daytona, all went to plan. Was a great shop window for e-racing and EuroNASCAR, and as Andre said, we can't race for real just yet. At some point we will in the very near future, but tonight they've done you proud again, your drivers, haven't they?
Absolutely. Once again, we are super proud of our drivers. We have seen that the pure racing spirit and the fighting spirit are not only virtual, but whatever it's on track or on a virtual track, they really fight hard for the victory. Of course, you can rely on us to get back on a real life track as soon as possible. But it's really entertaining. I was like a fan watching those races, and this four guys battle was super exciting. So no, very happy with this, and keep pushing.
Well done, everybody. That's it, though, for this evening from the EuroNASCAR Esports Series in conjunction with iRacing. Remember, we'll be back doing it all again next week. We'll head over the virtual Atlantic, at least, to the state of New York, and we'll be there at Watkins Glen. So from myself, Mark Werrell, and all of the EuroNASCAR team, thanks for joining us on the live stream. We'll see you next week, when we do it all again at Watkins Glen. Until then, goodbye.